Welcome to Air Quality Frank. You are what you inhale, podcast episode 1. Again, really excited to have you here. We are going to be looking at a very simple wintertime hack, which is it's dry outside, it's cold outside, we don't want to be outside, so we spend a lot more time indoors. But the problem indoors is that the air can be a little dry. That is because it's dry outside, and indoors heating naturally makes the air a little drier, dries it out. So we have dry indoor air, which is actually why, depending on where you live, but if you have winter, which Northern Hemisphere obviously we do have quite a lot of, sometimes 6 months or so, that is why we have cold and flu season, everybody. It's too dry for us. Our sinuses dry out and we're open for infection. So how do we solve this? We turn to humidifiers. They can be central ones. They can be room humidifiers, as I have behind me right now that we're going to be testing. One thing you might not know, it depends what type of water you use on the health of your indoor air quality. The wrong water can actually cause indoor air quality issues. Why? The water, depending on what's in it, can aerosolize these impurities into your indoor air. What am I talking about? Well, there's filtered water, there's distilled water, there's reverse osmosis water, there's bottled water, and then there's tap water. I'm assuming you're not using toilet water, although that's tap water in a bowl, just an FYI. But the problem with most municipal water is, yes, it's fine for us to drink because of the bacterial levels and that sort of thing, but it has other impurities. It can have VOCs, it can have pesticides, it can have heavy metals, it can have a lot of calcium depending on how hard the water is in your area. Now, there are two types of humidifiers. There are evaporative ones and there are ultrasonic ones. The evaporative ones tend to use heat to create steam. Now, just like when sun shines on a lake or an ocean and water evaporates, the water evaporating will leave impurities behind as it evaporates. The problem with ultrasonic is there's no evaporation. It catapults the water molecule into the air. And because of that, the impurities are not left behind. The impurities come with it. So as the water molecule is catapulted in the air that you're now breathing, all of the impurities, calcium, VOCs, pesticides, heavy metals, whatever's in that water will tend to aerosolize as well or become part of your breathable air. Problem with that is you're now inhaling more junk, and that junk is going to settle out as dust. And you might notice in wintertime you have this fine layer of white dust. Well, that's the calcium deposits. The problem is that's not really that great to breathe in either. And the reason that you have it is in a lot of cases because of the humidifier and the water that you're using. So we're going to do a little test here. We are going to test this little humidifier behind me with distilled water and also tap water, and I'm going to show you on an air quality monitor called a laser particle counter what the result is. I'm actually going to show you what the particles are going to be in the air with filtered water and what you're going to be breathing in with non-filtered ordinary tap water, and you're going to be amazed. So let's start this little process. So a lot of us have different types of humidifiers. They don't have to look like this, and again, brand doesn't matter, it's the process. But what I have here is a fairly small humidifier that you would have in a bedroom or in a small condo. There are bigger versions of this. It doesn't really matter the size either. But I'm going to show you the difference between filling it with distilled water in this case and what happens when you use non-filtered water like tap water and what happens to the air quality. So we're going to go ahead and fill this small little unit. So we don't need a lot of water for this. We're just going to pour some in just for the testing process. But again, this is distilled water. That's ideal, or reverse osmosis water. You can also use regular filtered water. It won't be as good or as pure, but certainly that is an option. We're just going to put the little tray back on and turn this on, and let's put it on a low setting for now and just let it do its work. So what we have here is a laser particle counter. It is an indoor air quality device that actually counts and measures particles in the air. So we're going to use this to see what happens when we use distilled water coming out of a room humidifier as opposed to city tap water. Now it is going to count some of the water molecules as well, but we're going to see what the difference is between the water molecule count with no impurities in it and then the water molecule count with it. So I'm just going to start it up, hold it not quite directly right over the steam coming out, but about, let's say, a foot away from it. I'm just sitting on the sofa here, where you would be normally sitting if you had one nearby when you're watching TV or one near your bed. So we can see here that the smallest particulates, if you can see that, we have about 1,214 particles at 0.3 micron, which is the smallest measurable size. On a handheld device like this, particles can get much smaller, obviously, but 1,214, that's the number that we're starting with. That's neither high or low. It's kind of a medium range for airborne particulates, but let's see what happens when we use tap water. So I'm just going to take this and dump out the water that we had, which was the distilled water. And we're now just going to fill it with some ordinary city tap water. And again, we don't need a lot for this experiment, but we're going to fill this up by about an inch or so. That should suffice. Put it back here, and I'm just going to turn off the tap and go back to my seating area. So this is now ordinary tap water. I'm just going to turn it back on, put it again to, it has on the lowest level. I'm just going to let this do its thing for a couple of seconds here. And I'm going to take out the particle monitor again. And again, this is a device used to count airborne particulate. And again, just to repeat what I said earlier, it will count some of the airborne water molecules because as it collides with some of the impurities already in the air, it'll capture those as well. But we should see a big difference now using ordinary tap water as opposed to the distilled filtered water. And what that means is that that increase is going to create a lot of dust that's going to settle out onto furniture, on your floor, on your clothing, and you're also going to be inhaling that. So let's take a measurement here. I'm just going to start it up and hold it away from the actual device by about a foot. And let's see what happens. We had 1,214 particulates at 0.3 micron before with distilled water, and you can see here the massive increase all of a sudden with tap water. So we wind up now at over 8,000 particles. That is a massive jump, which is ordinary tap water. Now you might ask, why is this? Well, tap water has a lot of impurities in it, whereas distilled water does not. So you can see here that that was a quick little hack for you guys to try at home. See if you see a difference. I think you will if you start in these cold winter days, which we still have probably another month or so left until it starts getting drier outside. More moist outside. It'll be dry indoors. You really want to try to use a humidifier, but not solve one issue and replace it with another, meaning solving the dry indoor air with now a lot more particulates. And the smallest doesn't cost a lot of money. The little hack that I've just shown you here, certainly use these ultrasonic humidifiers if you have them. It doesn't matter which brand, it doesn't matter how big it is, it doesn't matter the bells and whistles. But one little thing you can do without spending any really extra money, or at least not a lot because distilled water is not that expensive, is don't use tap water. all the stuff in the tap water is coming back into the air where you can breathe it in, and it's much better to have clean air and also a little bit more humidity by using distilled water. That concludes our little hack for the winter relative humidity issue. Hope to see you soon, real soon again. We'll be looking at many other different things. Have an amazing day. Thanks for joining the Air Quality Frank. You are what you inhale. Be well.